Once the hillsides have been shored up, the groundwater level starts rising again, slowly. Dams in the valleys retain the water well into the dry season, so it can be used for irrigation. With the water levels, incomes and hopes are rising too.
All we used to plant was simple millet. Now the hills are green again, and the water is back. Building dams and planting trees really helps. We can harvest more. We can even grow more valuable crops now, like wheat and onions.
Jean-B has learned that water can be recovered, and something can be done about the poverty and devastation by using one's own strength, the strength of the poor, and especially of the women. This grassroots approach to motivating the poor, the victims of desertification, and helping them to help themselves has set a worldwide example.
There are countless success stories occurring at the community level, at the grassroots level. The challenge, therefore, is not knowing what works. The challenge is to scale up what we know that is working at so many levels, and to scale out, to also implement elsewhere what is working. That is the challenge. For the developed country parties, they need to show more commitment, and they need to also deliver in their commitment. What does it mean? That in fact, all should really feel concerned, affected, and join force therefore in tackling desertification.
The battle against desertification can only be won if it is taken up by the people affected. People like Desertizare and Jean-B in India, or Abdul Rahman in Burkina Faso, or by Azam Bakhtiarova in Tajikistan.
I remember well. During Soviet times, the forest was beautiful in our river oases. People left it alone. Moscow supplied us with coal and oil to get through the cold winters, and also delivered fodder for our animals. Today we harvest less and less. It's not enough to last us through the year. The sand is threatening our fields. Some of them are already buried under the dunes. This is the biggest problem for our village.
The meeting of the Hindu Kush and the Pamir mountain ranges make for a spectacular landscape and a very fragile ecosystem. Independence for Tajikistan began in 1991 with a civil war. All supplies were cut to the high valleys of the Pamir. To be able to heat and cook out of sheer necessity, the villagers began to cut down the rare alluvial forests. It didn't take long before the forest looked like this. In her village, Azam Bakhtiarova, a former teacher, is well respected. She has heard that the people of a neighboring valley have started fighting desertification. She meets Bunafsha Mislimshova. Bunafsha is working on a project by the German Technical Aid Agency, the GTZ, on behalf of the German government, together with Tajik partners. The project aims to preserve the villagers' alluvial forest, the only forest up here. Here, Azal learns the villagers are managing the alluvial forest themselves. They make sure the animals don't eat the young saplings, and that nobody cuts down a tree without permission. And the forest is recovering amazingly fast. Willows and poplars are giving shade again, and their roots hold the soil. Azal can hardly believe how fast nature recovers when left alone. The key to the project is to give responsibility for the forest to the villagers. In Tajikistan, forests belong to the state, but the state is far away and too weak to safeguard them effectively. The project has convinced the Forest Administration to lease them to the farmers, who now make use of them and in doing so protect them. The results have been encouraging. The revived forests not only hold back desertification, they open a path out of poverty.
Here in the leased and non-leased plots, you can see the differences already. They can collect the firewood, and then except this they do haymaking. They collect the fruits of non-timber forest products, for example this sivaxon, and they sell it to the bazaar, and this is one kind of income for their family.
It is great to see such a beautiful forest. When I'm back home, I want to tell the neighbors about it and try to convince them to lease some forest as well. One day my village will be as green as it is here.
Back in Azal's village on the Wakan River, the sand is creeping ever closer to the remaining fields. The villagers here too are now ready to confront the problem of desertification. Azal has brought along the young ecologist Bunafsha and called a village meeting. It is unusual for the Islamic village society to listen to a young woman, and there are still some skeptical faces. But what Bunafsha says makes sense. Something needs to be done about the poverty and the sand. The forest has to be protected if it's going to be used. Azal was the first to realize this. The distribution of leasing contracts is a first step against the desertification in this high valley. That it will work out is by no means guaranteed. However, there's a chance.
If we don't start to do something, we will lose the forest forever. Our forefathers left us an intact natural environment. If we don't solve the problems with the sand and forest, we will not have anything to give our children. We can do it, with a little help from outside, but mainly through our own efforts.